Hello and welcome to Energizing Habits, simple strategies for a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. I'm your host, Vicki Cleary, and I guide ambitious women just like you to find more focus, more energy, and more productivity so they can thrive, whether it's in business or in life, all by tapping into sustainable habit change around nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress management. Are you ready? Here we go. Hello and welcome back. I hope that the first 10 days of your new year, of your 2023, have been positive and productive. I have been taking a little step back in some of my habits. I've been going back to basics, if you will, on my sleep habits because, as we went through the holidays, leading up, from the school year, from work, business, the whole bit, I realized I'm not getting enough sleep, right? And as you don't get enough sleep over time, you kind of don't notice the effects anymore. But when you have a really good night of sleep, you notice how much better you feel, how much more clear you feel, right? So through the month of December and through the holiday and even now into the new year, I have been going back to basics on my sleep habits. I've been trying to go to bed earlier, right? So looking more like 10:30 rather than 11:30. My wake time is about the same because I have to get up in the morning for all the things to happen before we head out the door. So in order to get my sleep that I need, I have to go to bed a little earlier, which means not staying up on the computer late. Been honing in on that bedtime routine so that, I'm not on the computer right up until I go to bed or on screens, devices, that kind of thing. So anyway, I've been working on that. I've been getting more sleep and, I'm really starting to notice the last 2 or 3 days, a real uptick in my energy. So it's just amazing. I want you to kind of get out of that jet laggy feel that you kind of feel is normal. Once you get out of that and the energy that you feel from the sleep, it's amazing how much we forget what that feels like. So I'm super excited to be feeling that way again. It's also a good reminder, even though we all have, we do have good habits, we all have things that we do well, there are also some things that slide because we're focusing on other things. So I became very intentional about focusing on my sleep and I'm noticing the benefits. So that's awesome for me. I hope that you have found something through your resolution or your goal for the year, something that you are working on and that you are starting to see the benefits. Excuse me. Oh, I had a little catch in my throat. So if you've got those goals, those resolutions, those intentions for the year, today I've got something that will help you make them a reality, right? So even if you are starting to make some progress, great. If you're not making the progress that you think at this point, that's okay. You don't have to give up. We're going to talk through some strategies, some tips to help you get back on track or to stay on track if you're doing well so far. Okay, let's get into it. So it's the 10 steps to conquering your goals or to achieving your goals this year. So the first step is focus and decide, right? Instead of choosing several goals, right? Oh gosh, I can't decide. I want to, I want to have energy and, I want to save a bunch of money and, I don't know, I want to go on vacation this year. Whatever your multiple different things are. I was trying to come up with a bunch of random things, and it was probably a little too random. But instead of choosing several goals to work on all at the same time, harness that energy and focus it towards one or two main goals. And maybe those 1 to 2 main goals might be connected even in some way. So there's one big mistake here that you could make that will just push you into a huge trap, right? Where you'll end up feeling frustrated, burned out, you'll feel like a quitter. It's a mistake that most of us make. And it comes, of course, with having the best intentions, but here's what happens. So you set some huge goals for the new year, and you vow that right now, right, you will finally get your stuff together. You are going to drink all the water. You're going to eat super clean food. And then you're going to journal every bite, right? You're going to document it. You're going to be extra active. You're going to go to bed early, and you're going to get up even earlier, right? So you're going to tackle all these things, right? It's the new year. It's a new me. But then a few days later, you are exhausted, right? So maybe at this point on where we're at in January, recording on the 10th, live on the 11th, you might be feeling this way. You might be feeling exhausted. So you decide to sleep, right? A few extra minutes, another hour. So you miss a workout. And then, maybe you eat some cookies. There's some residual cookies from the holidays or chips. And you decide not to journal about your food anymore because what's the point? Or if I write about it, then that means those calories or the food that I ate, like I actually ate it because I wrote it on paper. So what's the point, right? And that's what happens. You're done. You give up. And it's not because of the lack of willpower or drive. It's because you overcommitted and you try to do too much. And this is why it is imperative, so imperative, to integrate one new habit at a time. So this is the thing I like to say. You can change your life without overhauling your lifestyle. And you can do it by focusing on one goal at a time. And actually, let's break it down even further. One small habit at a time. And once you master that one small habit, you layer on another habit that is in line with that same goal. And then over time, now you've integrated, you've accomplished all these new habits, and now your life looks way different than it did. And that's how you start to make change over the course of a year. You don't have to achieve your goal in the first 6 weeks of the new year. Well, I guess it depends on your goal, but lifestyle goals don't have to be done overnight, right? So that takes us to tip number 2, and that is to pick the goal with your biggest why. So first was focus and decide. Pick 1 to 2 main goals. Then you're going to pick that goal with the biggest why. Well, not then. That's how you can choose. You choose of, all the things you have, which has the biggest why. Why is it so important to you? When a goal is emotionally connected, has that strong reason behind it. For example, this is a good example, especially for you parents out there, or maybe even grandparents, right? I want to have the energy to go run around, to play with my kids or grandkids, right? Now, don't just say that, right? Whatever the reason is for your goal, right? Whether it's this one or something else, stop a moment here and just really imagine what it feels like to do the thing, right? So if it's the example, really pause and imagine, like, what is it going to feel like when you're jumping around, playing with those kids, right? Internalize that. Having fun, laughing. Now, that is the reason that you want to achieve this goal, right? Not just, I want to be able to play with my kids. No, it's that feeling and it's that connection with them, right? And so whatever it is for you. So it's your why that keeps you going. So it has to be a good one, right? Your why is what keeps you going, so it has to be a good one. When you feel like your motivation is low, when you feel like you don't have the energy to do it, which, means you don't probably have the mental energy to not be a couch potato, or to it does take some effort in some of these different habits to do, right? But sometimes we're just mentally drained of that energy to keep pushing forward, to keep driving forward. So when that happens, pause and think about that why. And not just think about the why, but really tap into that feeling of what it will be like to accomplish it, of accomplishing that goal. So then, right? So you've focused and decided. And if you needed help deciding, you're going to create a why. The why is what's going to help motivate you when times get tough. Now you're going to commit, like really, really commit. The right amount of resources, such as your time, your energy, your attention, to make that goal a reality. And you're going to treat it like anything else that's important in your life, because it is. That feeling of accomplishing, that feeling that you have when you get to do the thing that achieving the goal will help you achieve, that is super important. So you're going to commit to it. Once you have committed, now, next step, we make a plan. And this isn't just the project manager in me, right? There is real evidence that creating a plan and reviewing it regularly, which is actually like later down, it's another tip later, but having that plan leads to success, right? It's not just saying, I'm going to be able to do a pull-up in 6 months, right? It's having a plan. What are the actions that you're going to do to get there? Okay, I've got to practice whatever the pull-up things are that have to happen. So working your lats, working your upper body muscles, developing some core. That is the stuff that you have to work on over the next 6 months to be able to do that pull-up. Whatever the thing is, right? Have a plan so you can get there. It's your little roadmap. So reviewing it regularly is also, I was thinking about the evaluation part of it, but also like reviewing the plan from a planning standpoint. And so as an example, every Sunday, I like to set aside time, 15, 30 minutes to take a look at my week, right? From Monday through the following Sunday, or maybe even just Monday through Friday, depending on what's going on. Because you got your work week and then you have different activities on the weekend. So sometimes I'm just looking at Monday through Friday, but taking time on Sunday to look at my week, see how the dominoes are going to fall, right? I know I have meetings here, here, and here. Lunch meetings. So that means that I can't go work out over lunch. When am I going to fit my workouts in? Right. And then if I've got my SMART goal, and my SMART goal says, oh, I have 3 workouts this week. When do I fit them in? Knowing what my schedule looks like. Okay. So this is where having some flexibility. It doesn't have to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If your schedule allows for it, great. Mine often doesn't. So as long as I can get my 3 workouts in before Saturday, that's a win for me. And then, taking note of when the activities will happen that fall in line with the habit that you're working on, that fall in line with the goal. Now you make sure that you have what you need on hand, ready to go. Have clothes set aside, have meal stuff prepped, all the different things, right? You're tracking water this week, great. Have a big water bottle that you either know the amount is in the bottle or that has those measurement marks on it, right? So you know how much you're drinking throughout the day. The other part of the plan, so doing it weekly, looking ahead, having the guide for the week, but then also things change during the week. Every night, take 3 to 5 minutes. It doesn't take much time at all, and make sure you're on track for the next day. Oh, I went ahead and put my workout over lunch that day. Am I still on track? Oh, lunch popped up with so-and-so, right? Or a lunch meeting at work or what have you, or I have to run an errand now. Great. So can you do the workout in the morning? Can you do the workout after work? Does it have to slide to a completely different day? So being flexible, but also checking in, because you know that plan is likely, it can change. My schedule changes a lot. And so I have to be able to be flexible, and I have to know where those dominoes are starting to get placed. It makes a huge difference knowing where you're going, knowing where you're going from a high level, but then really honing in on where you're going, right? So the plan is like knowing I've got to travel from Kansas to Texas. And then the daily plans are saying, okay, well, we're going to stop here to make a bathroom break, and we're going to stop here to do this, and here, oh, there's a little sightseeing place, right? So it's the little steps along the way. So you've got your big plan, and then you have your micro plans. That's a lot of plans. It's really not. It's just taking the plan and understanding what activities are going to happen each day, each week, so that you can achieve the goal. So here's another example. let's say that you planned for one indulgent meal during the week. It could include sugar, flour, it might be processed, maybe not, maybe it's got like real heavy dairy, whatever it could be, right? But it's what you consider your indulgent meal for the week. When you look ahead at your week, you notice that there's a client lunch scheduled at a restaurant that's really not conducive to your plan. So this is where you can be flexible, knowing that you've got this indulgent meal block, let's call it a block in your calendar. That's when you're going to have your indulgent meal. But this client lunch at the restaurant that's not conducive to your plan, this is where you can take that indulgent block and layer it there. So you're going to move it to the client lunch. That's your indulgent meal for the week. And then maybe when you were planning to originally, that is going to be, back to your on-plan meal, whatever the plan is. If you're doing no sugar, no flour, maybe you are, I was going to say Whole30, but the Whole30, you probably wouldn't have an indulgent meal in the middle of it because that might defeat the purpose. But you get the idea. Whatever the plan is, whatever your clean eating style is, you're just rearranging so that that indulgent meal that you had planned for is just going to fall on a different day. So again, being flexible, but then staying on plan the rest of the days. Now, some people feel trapped by having a plan, but a plan can also be freeing because you already know what you need to do for the week to make progress toward the goals. And it can be empowering because you get to decide when and how to be flexible, right? So we have the guidelines and we're kind of choosing where the things fall. Now, the nice thing is I don't have to choose from all the things in the world. The plan gives me some boundaries. And then within those boundaries, I can slot the things, right? So in many cases, it can be, I was going to say underwhelming. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it can be freeing, and it can be less stressful because, again, you know the boundaries, so there's fewer decisions to have to make. You're just plotting where the things are going to fall. Now, this also goes back to number 3, making a commitment to yourself and reinforcing it. So number 5, pause here. Number 5 is taking action consistently. It's actually the most important step of all. That's why it's nestled right in the middle. You won't reach your goals without consistent action. So do something daily that moves you closer to your goal. Here's a big example. If you want to get in shape, whatever that means for you, right? You may want to lose some weight. You may want to tone up a bit, whatever the case is for you. If you want to do that, you are going to have to, we'll say workout. I use air quotes because really it's moving your body, right? However works for you. That looks different for everyone, but you're going to have to work out, whatever that means. Getting some new workout clothes is great, but they won't get you into shape. You see where I'm going? A lot of us get hung up on the prep and the details when they're going after a goal, right? They're trying to get all the things around the goal all nice and tidy and awesome, but never actually get started in the first place, right? So buying a new workout outfit can be a lot of fun, can really kind of help boost the energy around the activity. But the problem comes in when we spend more time on the things around the goal instead of taking true action towards the goal, doing the actions that make it happen. So the strange thing is it can actually look and feel like you're taking action, but you really aren't, right? So you're going shopping so you can prepare for the workout, but you're not actually doing the workout that is going to burn the calories, tone the muscle, get your heart, cardiovascular system going. So depending on what kind of shopping you do, most likely shopping isn't going to do that for you. Now, we fall in the cycle because we feel overwhelmed. We're worried we're not going to do the right things. We aren't even sure that we're 100% ready to make this commitment to ourselves. So this is where you've seen this phrase on Instagram and all the places lots, but imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. You might also see it as progress, not perfection, right? So a few different ways to say it, but imperfect action is better than perfect inaction, right? So getting all the things set up around the goal is not really as good as actually going to do the thing. So if you find yourself getting caught in the cycle of constantly preparing but not taking action, just pause, do one thing toward your goal, right? Keep it simple. Now, the other thing that might be going on is that you're finding yourself caught in on or off thinking or black and white thinking, right? Where if you can't execute the plan perfectly, you're off the plan until you're ready to get back on it again, right? So off and on, off, on. So again, imperfect action is better than perfect action. It's better than perfect inaction. And progress is better than perfection, right? Progress over perfection. So you most certainly cannot build consistency by not taking action, right? So let's think about like on a goal tracker sheet, you check the boxes when you do the thing, right? So sometimes it can be defeating, right? You can feel down on yourself when you know that you should have 7 check boxes for the week for doing the thing and you only have 3. So then you say, well, gosh, if I'm only going to have 3, then I'm just not going to, I'll start over again next week. I'm done for the rest of the week. I'll start over Monday, right? And now your chances of getting check boxes the rest of the week are 0. So the more that we can keep trying to get check boxes on that goal tracker, the more we're starting to build that consistent with ourselves. This first week, you may only have 3 checks. The next week, maybe you got 4. And the next week, maybe 3, maybe 4. But then the next week, 5 or 6, or maybe you did get 7. And so it's when you constantly are trying to achieve the thing that you're more likely to achieve the thing. When you stop, you have 0 chances of achieving the thing. So keeping it simple, moving towards your goal, taking that action. You could go for a 5-minute walk. You could choose an apple instead of a cookie. You could do some squats while watching Netflix, just doing something. And you will feel so much better once you begin taking those actions. You'll feel better because you're likely making some good decisions about your mind and body, but also you're going to feel better because you're getting that positive build, right? You're seeing that you can actually do this thing. And then the more consistent you become, of course, the better you're going to feel about it. And then that motivation is going to spiral upwards to keep you going. Okay, tip number 6, get support and accountability. Now, change can be hard. We're just going to let that be. But this is why it is so important to make sure that you have a strong support system to keep you motivated and moving forward, or to be that sounding board if you're having trouble making a decision, or because sometimes there are certain decisions we want to go do the thing, or maybe we have some FOMO, but it's not really aligned with the plan. So we have to have the support system, but we also need somebody who's going to hold us accountable, right? To really ask us, is that important to us? Is that something versus the goal that we set? So telling trusted friends, family members, what you're working towards, this can be helpful. But keep in mind how your family and friends tend to be. Some family and friends can be a little weird about it, and sometimes they'll be just like nagging you, right? So if you've not shared with them something like this before, share it with them, see how it goes. But there are some people that you may choose, you know what, I'm just going to let that be. And I'm going to share the specific goal with these people over here. And that's okay, right? You don't have to share everything with everybody. But just knowing the energy that they're going to give you, right? We don't want negative energy to be around it. Now, it can sometimes take some time for the friends and family to get on board. So again, If you know that there's the ones that are just going to be kind of negative Nancy's the whole time, fine. Sometimes it takes them a little bit to get on board. That's okay. But you can also branch out into a completely different community of people who have like-minded goals that they're working towards along with you, right? So a kind of a supportive community, a support group for whatever the thing is, right? So if you are taking on mountain climbing, joining a group of mountain climbers, because they're going to be doing the thing like you're going to be doing. You'll have some company along the way that can help hold you accountable. Whereas maybe your brother, who's not taking on mountain climbing, may not be quite as, they could still be like your cheerleader, but they're not going to know like how to support you in the fullest. So you got to kind of get the idea here. Now, one of my clients actually has a great support system, and I love this. It's like a quad of it's like a quadrant. Is that the right word? It's 4 people. It's 4 people in the support system as she's working towards her goal. So she's got a workout buddy. So she has somebody to hold her accountable, like to keep her, interested in going to her workouts several times a week, and working with her husband. That's number 2. And they're both working on their nutrition goals, a little bit different goals, but they're coming together to see how they can pull their meal plan. So it's not quite so stressful. They're not having to cook 2 different things. Marry the meal plan so that it works for both of them. So that's been really cool to see. And of course, a personal trainer to help with the workouts and make sure that there's the form, and then of course different variety of workouts for interest. And then she's working with me on healthy habits and some of the nutrition part of it. So again, she's got like a nice little 4-legged stool of her support system as she's working towards her goals. So now an experienced coach, whoever you might find, right, will help you get and stay on track with a proven program. Rather than bouncing around all over the place with different things, they can keep you on track with a specific system. Now, when you have someone in your corner and you have a win or setback, right, because both happen, then you also have someone to share it with. And they can help spur your motivation and keep you moving forward. So when they have a setback, right, they can help you analyze what happened, how you can improve for the next time. Or if they have the win, when you have a win, they can help you celebrate, which is one of the tips later. So there you go. So having a nice, strong support system for support and accountability. Tip number 7 is setting deadlines. Don't skip this one. Without having a specific date to shoot towards, it's just like, you're just running a race with no end. You don't have any urgency to take action. When you feel that clock starting to tick towards your goals, then it helps kind of fire up a little bit of motivation. Now, and this is where, if you've heard of the term SMART goals, right? SMART, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. The T is time-bound, putting a deadline on that sucker so that you know this is the time I need to be done by, and then you can set the actions accordingly. All right, that one's pretty simple, I think. But number 8, giving yourself a reward. So this goes back to that accountability and support system thing, but you can also celebrate on your own. Celebrate your wins, right? Whether it's by yourself or with your support system, friends and family. When you meet milestones along the way, reward yourself with a healthy payoff, right? Could be new shoes, workout gear, a book, a massage. These are all great choices. But I do want to caution you here of rewarding yourself with food, because normally those foods we want to reward with are not in line with our goals, right? So they're usually sugary, processed foods. They may not be sugary, but they're probably processed. So some combination of this here, not in line with our goals. And so you're actually going to send some mixed signals to your mind and your body that when you do something good for your health, you get to treat it with something bad for your health. So even though you did all this work to move forward, now you're taking that treat, we'll call it, quote unquote, that's actually pulling you backwards. So that's why I caution people from rewarding themselves with food of any kind, because food is meant to nourish your body. Food is meant to be fuel. We can still enjoy it from time to time, sure, but we're not trying to confuse that it's a reward system. Okay, number 9, managing expectations. Making changes and going after goals can take time and effort. Not can, it 99% will take time and effort. And so often people get discouraged because they aren't seeing the results that they expect right away. We have been programmed by reality TV, by marketing hype, by all the health and wellness gobbledygook that people talk about, with these instant and dramatic results, right? You've seen TV shows where they're trying to lose all this weight really quick. You've seen belts that help give you an hourglass shape, all these supplements that you can take that supposedly drop the weight, as quickly as you put it, not as quickly as you put it on, but quicker. But you get the idea, right? The thing is that's not a healthy or sustainable approach. Now, here's the thing. The goal is to get results that you can maintain for a lifetime, right? You're not going through this little 4 or 6 week window to do the thing to then rebound and reverse all of that work, right? Likely you're going through this effort because you're going to want to stay there. So if you lost weight, you're going to want to keep the weight off. If you find that energy by, upgrading all of these habits so that you're mentally clear, you're not going to want to go backwards the next day and all of a sudden be foggy brain because, you just stop doing all of these habits. But in order to achieve the results, it takes time. You didn't build up the bad habits overnight, right? They kind of snuck in there, kind of when you weren't looking. But unwinding them and replacing them with better habits takes time, right? So it might seem like you weren't doing anything to create these new or these bad habits that you have now, but they've actually been building on each other for a while. So now to unwind all that work and replace them with some good habits and getting those habits to stick, right? Focusing and integrating them. It takes time. So be patient and stay the course, right? That goes back to the consistency, right? You have to give your plan time to work. And of course, you also have to know that some days will be easier than others. Some days are going to flat out suck, right? So this is where you've got to tap into some good mindset, having your account system, your support system, and your accountability, having some good thoughts that you can think from a positive standpoint, right? And understanding your mindset, like why do you feel certain thoughts around certain things that pull you back towards those bad habits that you're trying to undo. So just keep repeating step 5, which is taking action consistently. One small step forward, but knowing that, again, with the managing expectations, you aren't going to get there overnight, and that's okay. What is that quote? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? We're not going 1,000 miles. We're going 10,000. We're going 20,000, but it all starts with that single step. Okay. Tip number 10, final one here, and that is to reevaluate. So do a quick what? I don't even know, it just came out of my mouth. Do a quick evaluation of where you're at every few weeks, maybe even every week, especially if you're just starting out, reviewing every week, taking a look at, are you killing it, right? Are you staying on track? And by the way, if you are, celebrate it. Are you following the plan? If you are, celebrate it. Are you following the plan and it's not working? Oh, okay. Now, the question here is, are you really following the plan? And by that, I mean, are you switching things up, making adjustments here and there? Because, sometimes when we have this plan, The body craves consistency. So it's easy for the body to do things over and over and over without getting bored. The brain craves excitement, new and change. Sometimes it may not feel like change, but new and exciting for sure, right? And so even though you've got this plan, your brain may be like, oh, what if we switch this? And what if we change this? And we're making adjustments that aren't necessarily tied to outcomes. It's just because it's new, it's fresh, it's different. This is a common issue that can stall your progress. So do a review of your actions. Make sure that your actions align still with the plan. And then if you're finding, yes, I am following the actions to the T, I'm following the plan, but it's still not working. Okay, great. Then we can readjust, right? Habits work differently for each person, and the way that the habits are implemented works differently for each person. So this is where it's important to modify them to work for you and for your lifestyle. Let's say, for example, another example for you, it's been 2 or 3 weeks, you've been following the plan, and let's say it's a meal plan and a workout plan, okay? Let's just keep it simple. It's a workout plan. It's a workout plan, and you were supposed to do 2 strength exercises, 1 cardio, maybe a whole body kind of HIIT or boot camp situation. So you've been following it for 2 or 3 weeks, no results. What's the result you're looking for? Maybe you're looking for inches to come off or weight down on the scale, or some kind of, if your scale measures muscle tone and this kind of thing, some scales do some different measurements, like your body fat percent, for example, and you're not seeing these numbers change, even though you've been doing these workouts, what do? This is when you consider changing just one thing. Only change one thing in your plan to help nudge your results along. That one thing, if you change 5 things, how are you going to know what works, right? So when you change one thing and you follow it for another 2 or 3 weeks, for example, did it work? Did it work dramatically? Did it work a little bit? You kind of get the idea. Do you keep up with it, or now do you need to change? Do you need to make another tweak? So whatever that thing is that you have to tweak, it's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on your goals. But again, just change one thing. Otherwise, you're not going to know what made the big difference. If you change 5 things, then you're going to think all these 5 things are what made the difference. And then you have to continue doing these 5 things, not knowing, right? And then when you stall progress again, now what? Now you have to analyze these 5 things in addition to what you started with. Keep it simple. Change one thing at a time. And then give it time. When you change something, give it time. Let it work in, let it see if it's having an effect. And then you just keep repeating that process. So this process is what's going to help you over the long run, because it helps you create real healthy habits that you will be able to maintain all of those hard-earned results, right? So you'll maintain doing the habits for the long term, and then the results that you've earned will stay with you. Now, this is also where a coach can also make a big difference, because they have experience getting the big picture view of your goals and can help you accelerate your results, right? Sometimes that outside perspective could see, well, maybe we need to tweak this one thing, whereas you may not be able to see it while you're in it. All right, so those are the 10 tips to achieving your goals in 2023. Let's do a quick recap, right? That was a lot to go through. So first, you're going to focus and decide. You're going to choose one goal to focus on. And then how do you know which one to choose? You're going to pick the goal with the biggest why. That's number 2. That big why is what's going to give you those motivating feelings, those emotions that are going to help drive you to do the action. Okay. Number 3 is to commit. Commit. It's important. Make the time for it, right? Carve the time out. Make the resources available to you. Then make a plan. Know what that roadmap is. Know where you're going to be able to get this goal. And then take action. Any action, imperfect action. 5 minutes walking in the morning. If that's all you can do that week, maybe you got sick. Maybe you had company over that you couldn't leave the house. I don't know what. Take any action you can. This is what's going to help generate your consistency. Then you've got support and you have accountability, friends, family, a support group, a coach, a personal trainer, whatever it is, a group of people, or even if it's just one person and your cat, I don't know, that can help encourage you and support you and be there when you're struggling to help you remember your why, right? Then you're going to set deadlines. Number 7 is setting those deadlines. Give yourself a time frame so that you know you're going to be done by this time. By done, I mean you've hit the goal, that specific goal. You've integrated those habits as a part of that plan. And then, you can repeat the process over and over as much as you want for new goals, but you don't want to be working on that same goal necessarily into perpetuity without knowing, how the heck you're ever going to get there or when you're going to get there. And then celebrate your wins. Number 8, give yourself a reward, something that's not food, preferably, right? So we don't confuse the mind and body that the food is not a reward, but wins, celebrate them. We deserve rewards, even if it's just, a good old pat on your own back for having done the work. Number 9 is managing expectations, because it's inevitable. You're going to do all this work and you're going to feel like you're not making the progress you want. But why is that, right? What made you think that you were going to have so much progress by a certain time, or after so many events? Progress can be slow, and that's okay. As long as you're still developing that consistency, some things just take time. And then reevaluate, okay? So if you've given it some time, 2-3 weeks, maybe make one adjustment, change one thing if you're finding that the plan doesn't feel like it's working, even though you are following it to a T, you're putting in all the effort. Because it's hard for the brain, it's hard for our minds to, put in all this effort and not see the result, right? Because then why are we doing it? Which goes back to knowing your why, right? All right. So those are the 10 tips for achieving your goals this year in 2023, really any year, because those are timeless goals, timeless tips. So your energizing habit for this week or today, you choose, take a look at your goal for the year, right? You've got a resolution, you've got a goal, you've got an intention, whatever it is. Take a look at your plan to achieve the goal. And that assumes, of course, that you've already done the plan. And if you haven't, that's okay, because your energizing habit is to choose one of those 10 things to apply. So if you haven't made the plan, make the plan. If you haven't given yourself a deadline, give yourself a deadline on that goal. If you are at this point, if you start on January 1, you're a couple of weeks in, maybe it's time for a little evaluation. Pick something on that list that you can do to help, assess the goal, continue progress toward a goal, adjust your mindset to the goal, okay? So give one of those things a try. Now, if your goal this year is to have more energy or to feel better in your mind, in your body, or to ditch brain fog and have more focus so you can be more productive, I have a treat for you. I decided to throw another masterclass on the schedule. So we had such a great turnout with the last one for Resolution Revolution. I wanted to throw another one on the calendar. It is Monday, January 16th. This masterclass is Optimize for More Energy. So did you know that your productivity is tied to your energy? I'm going to share my favorite ways to create your own high energy days consistently, and that's going to help boost your productivity. And not just at work. Productivity is great. Productivity in your projects, in your business, that's all great, but also productivity in your life, also important, right? So we're going to talk about ways to create high energy days consistently. And it's all free. It's all free. Happening on Monday, January 16th, 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. And that's Central Time. I'll post the registration link in the notes below so you can check it out. Take a look at what we're going to learn and sign up because it's free. All right, that's all I have for you today. Now, if you found this episode valuable, if you found these 10 tips valuable in terms of helping you stay on track with your goals, Please like it. Please leave a review. Please subscribe to the channel. Please follow the podcast. And then also consider sharing it with someone else who might find it valuable. Is there someone that you know who might be struggling with achieving their goals or is on track with their goals, but you want to keep them on track? And so you want to give them the tools. Share this episode with them. You can also screenshot it and share it to your stories. Tag me at Uplift Healthy Lifestyle. I would love to see what episodes you are listening to, watching, and learning from. So with that, have an energized day.